Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose, what do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need.
So I was supposed to be a pilot. At least that was my dream while I was in the Army. But I made a choice to stand by my convictions and leave the Army. It went against what I believed was right. And that choice ripped away my dream. It left me in depression, and I've been trapped with chronic pain from my neck and my back injuries. And I've learned something since then. And it's, you could either be in pain and out of shape, or you could be in pain and fighting to be as healthy as possible. And I know which one I'm going to be choosing for the rest of my life. So when I left the Army, it was because of the time that they forced the mandatory jabs on us. I haven't talked about this yet, but that was why. And I was so lost during that time and conflicted with what choice to make. And when I did decide to leave, I lost more than a career. I lost my identity, my dream of going to flight school, at least with the Army. And to give you guys context, I spent 3 years working with cardiologists to get a waiver for flight school because of my heart condition. And the month I got the waiver, that's when they mandated the jabs. And as crazy as it sounds, I had nightmares of being forced to put that substance in my body. And I battled for months on what was right during the time. And before that, I was always about getting up to date on things. But something woke me up and I made the decision. And that weight actually piled on, literally 25 extra pounds. And I was using my depression as an excuse to not be healthy. I told myself I was too injured to train like I used to. And I was an athlete. I wrestled in high school and college competitively. And I started to believe for a while and let the depression take over. But pain doesn't stop because you quit. It just multiplies. So now I was in pain and out of shape. So I decided if I'm going to live with pain, I'm going to be in shape while I do it. And last year, when life was at its darkest, I started to pray. I started praying, I started asking God for guidance. And slowly, I started to believe and I started to get answers. And on race day, I wore Jeremiah 33:3 on my cap. And it's, call to me and I will answer you. And that verse became my reminder that I'm never alone in the fight. And to pray to God for answers and gratitude. Now, my biggest goal isn't just to get stronger or faster or healthier. It's to get closer to God each and every year. And every morning or night, I pray. And I do a daily devotional for men. And I read the scripture and, I'm not perfect. I miss days, so I'll just double down when I can. And I study the Bible with the help of ChatGPT. I know, crazy. But it's the best tool, and it's a great way to have a conversation so you guys can go deeper into the Word of God. And to be honest, it's been life-changing. And honestly, at times it's fun. Like I get to learn about myself, and at the end of each month, I have GPT recap my studies and summarize my thoughts. But I'd love to chat more about this in another video in my coming to faith, but I want to make sure I stay focused on what I'm here to tell you guys. So, with leaving the Army, I needed a new mission. I needed a new purpose, and I found it in 3 exercises: swimming, bicycling, and running. Lifting heavy is out of the question. That puts my back in a tizzy, and it leaves me in pain for a week. And I'd love to get back to that at some point, but that's going to take a lot of physical therapy and probably stretching. So the water, the pedals, the road, that all gave me something to chase, a flow state to relieve that depression. So I ended up signing up for a Olympic triathlon. And I had 8 weeks until race day, so no excuses at all. So here we are, July 27th, Volano Beach. We have a 90-degree heat index today, and my body was taped together with training, therapy, and the power of God. And when I commit to something, I finish. No excuses, of course, unless it's a detrimental injury. And for context, I've never swum in the ocean. And the thought of sharks below me, that was a real fear. But as I took my first dive and stroked through the water, my rhythm took over. Swimming silences the noises in your head. I learned that early on. And lap 1 was super smooth. No sharks, just me and the ocean and other swimmers kicking me. And we all would start to bunch up around the buoys, and it got crazy. So as I turned around and I headed out for lap 2, the tide turned against us. And I felt like I was swimming in place. I was fighting just to get to the first buoy. And that's when I started to kind of panic because people were getting dragged backwards and we were all piling up. But I ended up pushing through. And as I rounded the first buoy, the tide began to be in our favor. And it started pulling me towards the shore. And this was a blessing. And as I hit the shore, I stood up and I started to trot towards the finish line. And as I was catching my balance and breath, I looked at my goggles, I checked the screen out, and I hit pause. And it said 28 minutes. I was shocked, but I was motivated to hit the next transition, which was the bike. And I couldn't believe it. To be honest, I only swam twice the past week, and my previous swim was a year before that. So you can say I was underprepared for the swim, but I felt pretty prepared for the bike and the run. At least I thought. So as soon as I got to my bike, I slammed some pickle juice and a Go Gel. And the bike transition is my least favorite. You have sand on your feet. You're trying to get your socks on, your shoes. You're trying to pound down some pickle juice and some gels. And you want to do it as fast as possible to reduce your end time. And like I said, the bike is my least favorite. So within minutes of taking off, my back and my neck were numb. I had a sharp burning sensation down to my toes. Every pedal stroke was me negotiating with my body and a battle within my mind. So to take my mind off of the pain, I focused on praying for relief. And I started to reflect on the mornings I didn't want to ride. The therapy sessions, the physical therapy, and all the doubt that I had leading up to this day. And I told myself, you showed up. Now it's time to put out. So as I coasted into the run transition, I made a crucial mistake. I drank too much water. Something I thought was impossible, but I could feel the sloshing before I even hit the pavement. At this point, the heat was a monster. Breathing felt like inhaling from a blow dryer. It reminded me of my deployment back in Africa, where there was no escaping the blazing heat. You start your day sweating, you end your day sweating. And a mile and a half in, my stomach started cramping even harder, and I started to walk to help work through the cramps. Surprisingly, my legs felt fresh, but my gut was in knots. And I shifted to a run-walk method to keep my pace down. And then I saw her, Shanley, my girlfriend for new viewers. She was there cheering like hell, and she started to run alongside me. And at this point, I had a boost in my spirit and morale. And I reminded myself, you didn't train this hard to quit when it hurts. And sub 3 hours was still a possibility. I just needed to make the most out of this run. And in that moment, nothing mattered more than seeing a time under 3 hours. As I was making my way back from the final lap, all I could think about was the feeling of finishing the race. The hours I put into training, physical therapy, and therapy all started to flood my mind. And as I approached the last quarter mile, the crowd was a blur. The pavement radiating heat. You could see the heat waves. And I still couldn't quite read the finish clock, but I had hope I'd still make time. My watch wasn't synced either. I messed it up during the transition, so that was super unreliable. So I put my head down and I emptied the tank. I gave everything I had in that last quarter mile. And as I'm approaching the finish line, crowds cheering, I look over, I see my beautiful girlfriend, and then I turn my head to the clock and I see 2 hours and 56 minutes. A wave of emotions and chills came over my body. And just like that, I remembered. This was never about the medal. It was about what it took to get here. 8 weeks of showing up when I didn't feel like it. Leaving the military is hard. Retiring from a job where your identity is tied to the uniform is even harder. When that chapter closes, it can feel like you've lost your compass, your direction, your mission. And that's when the depression can set in. And the only way forward is to adjust your compass. You need to find a new mission and pursue it with everything you've got. And for me, that meant faith, health, and a goal that scared me enough to grow. And as I felt the chills and the emotions rush over my body, I realized the real win isn't crossing the finish line. It's the person you become through the process. So to my fellow veterans, don't let your injuries write your end in. I want you to set a goal, commit to it, and give it everything. And that's how you rebuild purpose. That's how you take your life back. And if you're ready, I'll coach you with custom training, nutrition, and daily accountability so you're never doing this alone. I train anyone too. I got clients prepping for boot camp. I got clients already in the military looking to take their health to the next level. And I'm also extending my training to people who are looking to work through their injuries, to find a plan that gives them their confidence back and gives them a new purpose. If this interests you guys, the link is in the description. You can click it, apply to my coaching. I'd be happy to coach you and honored. And remember, you can be in pain and out of shape, or in pain and fighting for your life back. I'm choosing the pursuit, and I hope you choose the pursuit as well. And with that, I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know, what are you guys doing to help ease your transition from the military or from a job that you put your whole life into? I'd love to chat with you guys and see what you're doing. And if you guys liked it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe if you guys want to see some future content. We're going to be pushing out new series on here where we take on challenges, just showcase overcoming these limiting beliefs that we have and this depression and anxiety that cripples all of us. I'm hoping to be that light that pushes you and motivates you to take action. Really quickly, I'm partnering with Travis Mannion, as you guys can see this t-shirt. They are doing a 9/11 Heroes run, and there might be an event in your city. And if you guys want, just click the link down below, sign up. You'll get 10% off your ticket. You guys can do it virtually, and it goes towards an amazing cause with Travis Mannion Foundation.